All right, let's talk about the New England Patriots, who got a huge win, a much-needed win against the Miami Dolphins, and are somehow in a position where they control their own destiny the final game of the season, despite the fact that this was a frustrating season for them through large parts of it. I kind of thought it was over at a certain part, but no, they are right here. Going to have to beat Buffalo or get some help to get in, but hey, crazier things have happened. Let's talk about how they were able to win in this game, kind of some issues I still have with them actually, and how that could surface week 18, and then give my thoughts on what this means for their next game as they try to make the postseason. So this play, it's going to be a cover one blitz, and this is the main play that they've at times had trouble with this season. Really, I mean, they've had trouble with for the past few seasons. In the Mac Jones era for the past 2 years, they've really struggled with this. And a big part of it is you do kind of need receivers who can win on the outside, and they've had some mixed results. Like right when this play begins, what you're going to notice is that right here, okay, this is, a throw to make. I get why you would try to make it. It makes some sense to me. It's Jakobi Meyers in a one-on-one matchup. Jakobi Meyers has been a very good receiver for them. He's maybe been their best receiver this season. If you don't count his one boneheaded play against the Raiders, he has been very good for them. So in a one-on-one matchup, taking this chance makes sense. But really, they have not been great at getting this stuff to work, and it's something that I've kind of talked about. I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, how often I talk about this stuff. But like, look, as when Jones makes this throw, really, I mean, there's just no getting around it. Myers kind of got bodied there. He kind of got, out physicaled in that moment, was not able to really get himself in position to make that play. However, that's maybe where Tyquan Thornton could potentially come in. Going over here, you see the route on the screen. It's a deep, just again, very similar to the last one. There's also, we have a tight end who's going to run a deeper route, but kind of goes over the middle, which could potentially clear out the safety. But this is kind of what they brought Tyquan Thornton in for. And listen, he's had some mixed results, right? Pro Football Focus has him rated as the 107th out of 118 eligible receivers. But if he can just win a couple of these, that could be what it takes to beat Buffalo next week. Watch how on this play, again, not the great first step. That's not really something he thrives at, but he still is able to get past the defensive back who's covering him, and this is where he can use his speed to his advantage. Watch him really get up to a top speed, and then he's going to make a tough catch, and he's able to pick up a chunk play on that one. Really good stuff from Tyquan Thornton, who is, definitely someone who you hope can be a role player right here. That's how the Patriots use their receivers, right? They don't use their receivers like other teams do, which is, hey, we're just going to get the best receivers available and that's it. They kind of say, let's get guys who can do different things. Well, this is one of the things they hoped Thornton could do. He hasn't been so totally consistent, but if he can start to get consistent, that could be very exciting. Again, though, I have to go over here, which, it's not just on the receivers, and that's something that I think is also fair to bring up. I think it's mostly on the receivers. Again, I've always talked about how every quarterback looks poor when guys aren't getting open. Every quarterback looks good. Well, that's not true. Some quarterbacks still look bad when guys are getting open, but most quarterbacks look good when guys are getting open. But in a situation like this, it still can be the quarterback's fault, and a play like this is an example where, again, going to be a one-on-one matchup right here on the outside. Exact same situation we've been talking about. Watch how when Jones takes the snap, what you're going to see right here is that, so at this point, again, it's always weird with this stuff. The reason why I always like to pause it, either before the quarterback is throwing or at least as they're in the throwing motion, is because I like to kind of, put us in the same mindset of, the quarterback himself. Now, it's obviously easier for us. We get a much better angle of watching the play than, when you're on the field. It's just difficult to see everything. So that obviously is a big benefit for us. But still, in these situations, you do kind of have to take a guess. You kind of have to say, let's hope that my guy gets open. It's kind of why they call it a 50-50 ball, because you don't know if it's going to work. However, when Jones throws one up, it's too far of a throw. He missed that throw. Again, not saying Mac Jones is a bad quarterback. Absolutely not. This has been a disappointing season for him, but I do think he's picked it up a little bit as of late. Obviously, not quite as good as he was last year, but there's still things he does nicely. But this was a missed throw. And again, when you are getting guys open in this situation, you have to take advantage. You don't get this too often. The Patriots don't. So Jones does have to make that throw if you're going to be Buffalo. Again, you can get away with it against Miami, but they still didn't, it's still a little bit scary there. But, when you're going up against Buffalo, you're going to have to hit those throws. Although another thing I should bring up is that you don't have to throw the ball down the field on the outside against cover one blitzes. That's not something you have to do. This is the cover one blitz. And again, Miami does this to a lot of people, but you're definitely seeing teams do this to the Patriots. I expect the Bills to do this to the Patriots. Look at how when Jones takes the snap, you're going to see that Hunter Henry at this point is just getting wide open. I mean, he's winning his one-on-one matchup. It's not on the sideline, but hey, excuse me, not on the sideline, near the sideline. On the sideline's the name of my podcast. No, it's not near the sideline. It's over in the middle. But if you're getting a guy open for a chunk play, you're getting a guy open for a chunk play. And I actually think Henry might be a great guy who can win in these situations. It might be something they want to try. Granted, not sure if that'll work against the Bills. They have Matt Milano, all that. But, just in general, something they could do if they do get into the playoffs. And as you see, Jones is going to make a perfect throw. They are able to pick up a big chunk play on that one. So, again, you're seeing them start to hit this stuff a little bit better than they have been. There's still issues, absolutely, but they have been getting a little bit better. Because, going over to this play now, this is, in my opinion, a good example of the reality is the Patriots do very well against zone coverage. They do not have issues throwing against zone coverage. Part of why their running game is so effective is it can get opposing teams to play in zone coverage. And the reality is, I know there's been a lot of jokes about offensive guru Matt Patricia, but no matter who you are, it's not that difficult to scheme up stuff that can be successful against zone coverage. A lot more difficult to do it, against a good defense, obviously, and all that stuff. But you can do this stuff. You can make this stuff work. And the Patriots, not quite as good as when Josh McDaniels is there, but can still be effective against this type of stuff. The way this play works is that looking at it on paper, it might not actually seem like it's a great concept because you have 3 receivers running deep routes, but you're doing it against cover 3 zones. So shouldn't there be one-on-one matchups across the board? Well, number one, that's not a terrible situation having one-on-one matchups deep down the field, but also not necessarily, because keep in mind, the safety does not know the concept. The safety is probably going to go in one of 2 directions. He'll go towards his right or towards his left. And so just watch him. Watch what he does on this play as he's going to look towards his left, towards the bottom of the screen. And you see because of this, he's essentially double teaming a New England Patriot guy who happened to fall down, which is unfortunate that you have 2 guys there. But you also notice that the other defensive back, who is further towards the top of the screen, he's covering the guy over there, meaning that, okay, those are your 3 players who are covering deep. 2 of them are covering one guy. The other one is covering another guy. So right there, New England now has a player who is wide open. It's a clever concept. I mean, it's one that works. This kind of stuff definitely can work. McCorkle is going to make this throw. They are going to be able to pick up a decent chunk play there. So the reality is, if they can just win against cover 1 blitzes, well, then they should be able to be effective against this other stuff because they're already effective at the other stuff. And that could be what they need to pull off a victory against Buffalo and also to make a run if they want to make a run at this. Because again, they control their own destiny at this point. It's not out of the question that this Patriots team could still, make some noise. The way I see it, I think that if the Patriots do win this, what it would mean if they pull off this victory, it seems like what would end up happening would be they'd most likely play the Cincinnati as the number 2 seed, who they nearly beat the last time they played each other. Also, there's a chance that it could still be Buffalo they would play the following week, which would be interesting, of a rematch just 1 week later, which is always fun. I don't know what's going to happen. They have to win next week. They don't actually have to win next week. It's not crazy to think that both Miami and Pittsburgh could lose and they would get in with a loss, but still, you want to win next week. Be interesting to see what happens. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.